Hello and welcome to the Higher Education Options for NRI Students seminar. The topic of the seminar today is Let's Talk Japanese Universities. So let me first quickly get to the agenda flow of the seminar, and then we can get started with the main part of it. So initially, I'll briefly introduce you about what is the agenda and the flow of seminar. Then both parents and professional experience members will speak for 10 minutes each. And then it will be followed by Q&A, which will be the major part of this seminar. So few ground rules to run session this efficiently. Please consider your microphone to be on mute. Please ask question in chat relevant to the topic of the session. Please be considerate in asking queries and maintain cordial, friendly, and respectful environment. So before I introduce the speaker for the day, why this seminar? First, there is a lot of information available on the net, but there is a lot of information which is either not usable or we are too much overwhelmed by that information. By this seminar, we want to actually filter out the signal from that whole noise. Second, we see that there are parents who have a lot of information and there are parents who are looking for the information. The attempt here is to bring them together and start the discussion about Japanese universities. Third, we also want to build a community around this topic so that everyone starts helping each other. And fourth, whatever we generate as an information through this process, we want to make accessible to everyone. So let's quickly see who are the speakers today. And before I introduce them, I want to thank them a lot because they have opened up and they have agreed to share the information and the knowledge they have. First one is Hemant Visal, who is staying in Japan for 19 years, parent of Isha, who has studied from GIIS, now studies in Waseda, third year Faculty of Science and Engineering. And the course she has taken is bioscience. Second speaker is Prabjot Singh, again a parent, works in TCS, currently staying in Tsukuba, staying in Japan for almost 10 years now, parent of a son and a daughter from GIS and ISJ background, who are now studying in Tsukuba University and Tokyo University Technology, respectively. One in interdisciplinary engineering and global scientist and engineering program, respectively. Third, we have Khushi Jhaveri, who represents EdYou, and she is a counselor. She is a Japanese national, studied from Keio University, international coordinator for Mixed Global Network Project, University of Tokyo, scholarship recipient. So we are having these two views, parent of, we have having these two views, one view of the parents, Hemant and Prabjot, based on their experience, and another professional view where some advanced information is required. A quick word on who are the people behind actually organizing this. You should know it that Ashish, Sandeep, and Prem, we are also representing first as a parent. I and Ashish have our kid in UIA, Sandeep in ISJ. We all have our day jobs. I work with ENY. Ashish works with Ericsson, and Sandeep works with JGC. We have been here in Japan from quite some time. I personally have done my MBA from Globis. Ashish also has an engineering background, and Sandeep is a chemical engineer. We are associated with other community organizations, like me and Ashish are associated with Indo-Japan Information Hub, Indo-Japan Pulse, if some of you might be knowing. And Sandeep is also well known in the community for his contribution in Bharat Cultural Society, which is BCS. So that's a quick background on who the speakers are, who will be the facilitators. Now let's get right into the session. So before I start the session, we have given us kind of a rough framework to the parent, which covers from deciding the career choice for your child till the job opportunities. So this is kind of a broad structure they will be also referring to. So stay tuned when Hemant covers this later. So with that, I close this opening remarks and pass on baton to Hemant Visal, who will start from his point of view, followed by Prabjot, Khushi, and then Q&A. So let's get started. Over to you, Hemant.
One of the reasons, like Waseda too, we were, I would say, pretty lucky because Waseda had a bit stringent criteria those days when my kid passed out. So it was necessary for them to go for the subject set, which was actually very tough to get in considering the availability of seats post COVID. So we didn't had the subject set, and that was one of the criteria for getting in. So then from another parent, we came to know that there is another way to get into Waseda or like apply for Waseda. So that was really helpful for us. And we were very fortunate that we applied, we went through that route. And with that route, Isha was able to get admission in Waseda. Uh, about, I'll just touch base upon few points here. The admission process for Waseda was pretty straightforward. Most of the things were online, except for a few areas like we have to get recommendation letters, as well as we have to, especially for Waseda during that time, it was mandatory for getting the evaluation from all the subject teachers: physics, chemistry, maths, and bio. So that evaluation we got it from the school, and that was the thing. But overall, I would say it was pretty easy and straightforward for Waseda. So a few things we have to share offline. It is irrespective of the university, is your SAT scores as well as your I scores or other course what we have done apart from the standard education mark sheets, etc. Yeah. And for Waseda, I would say the fee structure. Prem, can you please move to the previous slide? So it will be easier for others also to understand. Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. Thank you. So fee structure as such, I would say Waseda being a private university, it is somewhere around 1.8 million yen per year. So that it doesn't include any scholarship, but for scholarship, that is one of the points which I'm going to cover in my later slides. So scholarships, yes, scholarships are available in Waseda University too, but those vary from each university to university. And was Isha being in Waseda, it was a bit easier for us. So she's staying with us. So we didn't had to, as such, move her or we have to move to different location. So for us, it is door to door 50 minutes for her, which is convenient. But yes, Waseda definitely has dorm options too. So anybody willing to explore options, definitely Waseda University has those options too. And in terms of Waseda, I would say one of the very good universities. Isha is enjoying her tenure there, and she has got very good friends too. It's a mix of people, Japanese nationals, other nationals also are there. So and definitely the university lab experience. So now she is able to get a hands-on experience on a lot of things. So that is also one of the very good things I would say for Japanese universities, and especially like I had this discussion with other earlier student who passed out from Tokyo University. One great thing is that all the instruments, etc., you get to get hands-on. So it's not that somebody else does the experiments for you. in the sense you submit the samples and somebody does the experiment for you. So it is you who do the all the experiments. So that's definitely one thing. And one more aspect is Waseda has good tie-ups with other universities too. So in case if you have to go for internship to other external universities, so Waseda has the tie-up there too. So only one, I would say, one drawback of Waseda is that in case if your kid has to go for a double degree kind of one or a other university 6 months or 1 year's tenure, unfortunately those credits don't get added to your score. So in that case, instead of 4 years, you might end up going for 4 years, 6 months, or 5 years, depending on the tenure you have chosen going for the university outside Japan. So that definitely is one, I would say, a drawback for Waseda as of today. But of course, things are changing, and it will definitely help the students in future. And one more, I would say, is having this experience outside Japan is definitely a very good opportunity for the students. So we get a different perspective. Yeah, and in terms of what I would have done differently, I would have contacted Prem, Sandeep, and Ashish 3 years back if I would have known. And yes, well, as I've said earlier, this definitely is a very nice platform to get to know the answers from people who are already like Khushi, who already is working in this area. So and in terms of job opportunities too, yes, Japan being research oriented and a lot of new things coming up in Japan too. So job opportunities wise, I haven't seen any kind of placement drive yet in whatever earlier students have passed out. But yes, I need to explore more on this part. But research wise, jobs definitely are available in Japan. uh, on a personal note, we are not going to like after her undergraduation, we are definitely focused towards masters also. So right now I may not be focused fully on the job opportunities in Japan. So that is overall from my side in terms of the overview. If we are okay, I can move to the next slide, wherein I have just tried to highlight few things what I would like to share for all the parents. Prem, can we move to the next slide, please?
Yeah, thank you, Hemant. Yeah, I'll move to next. And also, I request parents, if you have queries for Hemant, you can start writing those queries in the chat. Ashish, the co-host, will also pick that up, and we will try to address that towards the later part. This is the slide, Hemant, right?
The previous one.
The previous one, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so till date now, like most of the parents might have this understanding, but just to give a very high level, so we have a broad classification of national and private universities in Japan. So the national universities, those fee structure is, I would say, very pocket friendly. Uh, Sorry, any question?
Sandeep Jaile, your mic is on. Can you please turn it off? And request others also to turn it off if you are not speaking. Sandeep Jaile.
Yeah. So private, it depends from a course and the university too. Somewhere what I have learned is roughly between 1.5 million to 2 million per year is the fee structure. Yes, there is one challenge in Japan is that overall the number of seats are pretty limited for each course. So even like Waseda, they you have different courses, chemical. That after that bioscience, which was recently closed, and other areas, IT, etc. Right. So those they offer only 5 to 6 admissions per year per course. So that is definitely one challenge. And but for national universities, I would say, sorry, the private universities, It is more of a to case, with what I would like to say. For Isha, there are somewhere eight students in her course for starting from first year, and that includes the Japanese curriculum too. So typically, and all the English curriculum, I saw one of the queries in the forum about the Japanese curriculum, but Japanese curriculum typically starts in April, and the English curriculum typically starts somewhere around August to April, August to September, sorry. So this is the period wherein prior to this, usually 1 year prior, you can start, I would say, preparations for your kid. In terms of SAT, definitely is one of the areas, and you should have to focus on every individual university's websites, because every university might start their admission process at a very different place. Like some may start from July, some may start from September. So each university may vary from that perspective. There is one more important point about the PR or nationality. Uh, I would say till date I haven't faced any challenge. We all hold PR, but till date we haven't faced any particular challenge in getting or applying to any university in Japan. Exception is Tohoku University. For Tohoku University too, once you have clarity on whether you are going to apply for Tohoku, you can get in touch with them. For them, the admission process or the application process is a bit different than all the other open category members. But yes, it is still possible that your kids can get admission to Tohoku University if you are a PR or nationality holder. But it is again, you have to connect with them one to one and get to know the process. Yeah, and the known universities for national are of course Tokyo, Nagoya, Tsukuba, and I would say these universities are all very good universities. In terms of global ranking, I think Prem has already shared the link in the group for understanding the global ranking. Yes, as compared to other US or other universities, the global ranking may not be that high, but yes, the universities as such offer very good courses. And Waseda, Keio, these are always the top two universities from private perspective. And for especially for business people, or for anyone going for the commerce, NUCB is also one of the good universities, along with Waseda SILS. So these are all the, and one thing which I would like to add, like more every year, the number of universities which offer English curriculum is slowly and steadily increasing. So like Shibaura Institute of Technology, I guess it started 3 or 4 years back, but that is also good university for computer science. So definitely, people who have interest in computer science can explore to Shibaura Institute of Technology, which is within Tokyo only. Yeah. So yes, we have a Q&A session later on. We'll move to the next slide for my part. Yeah, so I guess now this is a very important question which many parents are facing. What is going to what is the option for my student, for my kid, whether to go for a student visa or whether we continue with a PR or the nationality. So nationality, I don't think that much of a challenge is there. But yes, I would say in terms of scholarship, you get more options, scholarship options. Like one of known people, like two known people for me, though they opted for student visa, and all 4 years tuition fee was waived off for them for getting the scholarship. But of course, though they were having a dependent status, they have to change to student visa. One challenge there is, once your child completes the undergraduation, they can stay max 1 year in Japan. This is from the Japanese immigration policies. So within 1 year, either you have to get enrolled for another educational institute, or you have to find a job. If not, then your visa gets expired and you have to leave Japan. That is the current immigration policy for Japan. For PR, yes, even though you undergraduation is complete, your visa etc. doesn't have any impact, so you can continue staying in Japan and enjoying Japan, exploring your options, whether you want to go for education, whether you want to go for job. And again, the once your visa gets expired, if you have, for example, somebody goes for masters out of Japan, then once the PR gets expired, it is similar to what our parents or any other relatives come from India to Japan. So you every time kids have to apply for a tourist visa and they have to come here. So that challenge is always going to be there, because even then they come here, it is going to be more of a 3 months tenure what they can stay. So that everybody will have to weigh their own options, whether they have to go for the student visa or they can continue with the PR. For me, I didn't want to go into all other hassles. So personally, I have continued with the PR and I have not opted for any scholarship opportunities in Waseda. So yes, Waseda also offers scholarship, but it is per year you have to apply for the scholarship opportunities. Based on your score, they will decide whether you have to you can get the scholarship or not. And one more thing for PR holders for scholarship. Yes, it's not that you don't have scholarship options. The scholarship options are there, but those are very limited. And moreover, it's not only the scholarship may or may not be attached with that particular university. So it may be open for all people. So maybe say, for example, 100 Japanese nationals are applying for the same scholarship. Though you are applying for, say, Waseda or KEO, the other 100 Japanese nationals will be direct competitors for you. So that I would say option has to be weighed by every individual parent. So I would say going for student visa is definitely, and moreover, some of the kids from India who come to Japan, it's not only the tuition fee waiver what they get, it is also they get a stipend. That I have seen a couple of cases wherein along with the tuition fee waiver, they have received a stipend of around 120K per month, which I would say is sufficient enough for students to suffice per month. Yeah. So this is all which I would like to present from my side. And yes, we will have whatever things we can answer. We can definitely go in from the Q&A session. I would now like to pass on to Prem and Prabjot for the next introduction.
Sure. Thank you, Hemant, for sharing those experiences, and especially around what you talked about, the PR conditions. That is very relevant and one of the mostly asked questions. We'll explore more in the Q&A also. Thank you. Then
Yeah,
now,
just one caveat, as I mentioned, right? So Japan keeps on changing its
yeah,
immigration policies.
right.
So I would request everyone to please go through whenever your kid has to take an admission in on whether it is student visa or you are continuing with PR. Please go through the immigration policies and take a call.
Yeah, thank you, Visal, for adding that note. Great. So let's move to Prabjot, and he would be again speaking from his experiences. And I'm sharing the slide of Prabjot now. Prabjot, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Prem. Am I audible?
Yes, really.
Okay. So first of all, thanks, Hemant. I think you have covered most of what I was planning to cover. So I'll not take much time. See, I'll only share my experience. I came to Japan in 2015 and I was on deputation. So I was very confused whether I should go ahead with CBSC or I should choose IB, because both will have impact when you are preparing for university. right? And if company sends me back after 2 years, 3 years, then anyway, if I'm going back to India, CBSE will be a better option, because there are a lot of options in India for CBSE. IB options are limited. So I was very much confused. Now, if I have to redo this exercise, I would definitely go ahead with IB. So people who have long-term visibility, I think they can make their choices very clear. The benefit of going ahead with IB is it is more aligned with the university education pattern. One. Second, it will be better accepted for all the universities. When they are looking for credentials, SAT, EJU, or other scores, even if you are not giving SAT, you can actually submit your IB score and it will be accepted. Right. So that way, actually, IB is much better, but there's a flip side to it. If you are doing IB, you cannot complete the course before end of March, which means universities which are starting from April, that means your Tokyo Institute of Technology, there may be few more universities, you cannot apply in those universities in the same year. So that means either you wait for those universities for another year, or you will not have that option. So then you'll have to make your choices very clear. So then India or Japan? Of course, this question was also interlinked. I think, first of all, as a parent, we have to make our choices very, very clear. We cannot pressurize kids to focus on both India and Japan university pattern, or India or overseas university pattern, because both are very, very different. If you are going back to India, then I think preparing for those kind of exams require a different kind of ecosystem, and you have to be in that ecosystem. If you are in Japan preparing for Indian universities, that actually will put lot of pressure to kids. I think that choice we'll have to make. Otherwise, it will become very tricky. So these were the two main questions for which I struggled for 3-4 years. Finally, I have gone ahead with CBSE. I didn't change. I think one more point, if we have to change to IB from CBSE, it is better to change after 8th rather than trying that in 11th or 12th, because already there is a lot of pressure on kids for 11th and 12th. If we make that decision in 11th, it becomes very tricky. So I have seen some of the students, they do not do well when they shift the pattern. So it is important to make that choice when the kid is moving from 8th to 9th. Then next part is SAT or ACT or EJU. Again, see, EJU is very different. EJU is like preparing for your Indian kind of exam, right? So there will be exam for physics, chemistry, maths. You'll have to do a lot of preparation. And there will be lot of subject or lot of, portions which you will not be covering in CBSE or IB, right? So you'll have to prepare for those portions also. And see, basically, EJU is only valid in Japan. So if you are interested in sending your kids to abroad, SAT will be a better option, ACT will be a better option. Between SAT and ACT, though I chose SAT, but one advantage with ACT is it is accepted in Tohoku. SAT is not accepted. So that was the problem. I could not apply in Tohoku. Tohoku will take ACT score. They will take EJU score. They will not take SAT score. And I could not apply for Tohoku. So that was the main reason. Basically, my son was interested, but I couldn't apply for Tohoku. Either you prepare your kids for EJU, which will put a lot of pressure on them. So you look at that curriculum. If you are still keen to go ahead, you can make that choice. But the only tricky part is if you want to have a backup of going abroad like US, Europe, Singapore, Canada and all, then basically SAT and ACT will be a much better option. So then other question which I had was Japan or any other country. Of course, I chose Japan over India. But as a backup also, I didn't consider any of the other countries. A lot of my friends were actually telling me that I could have applied for US, UK or Canada, right? But I didn't do that. I think I could have taken that option. And there are a lot of professional agencies available in India or outside. You can actually pay them 2 lakh, 3 lakh, and they will actually run this overall university program, no, as a factory model. You can actually give them your choices that you want this much of scholarship. So this is your basically students. This is your son or daughter's preference. They will work it out. Then you don't have to basically put lot of effort in doing the research for essays and searching for the websites for those courses. They will run it for you. They'll have a discussion with you, very professional. And I've seen basically good success rate if you go ahead with them. Okay, so next, which engineering stream? That also is a very tricky question, because see, universities in Japan are very limited. We do not have 30, 40, 50 universities. No, my focus was, if possible, my kids can go to level 1 university or maximum level 2 university. So then we are left with very few choices, because my daughter was mainly focusing on computer, and my son wanted to move in a mixed kind of engineering. Then see, basically in Japan, we have one advantage. If you look at Tsukuba course or this Tokyo Institute of Technology course, both are mixed kind of engineering for first 2 years. So Tsukuba University is an interdisciplinary course. So what it means is your first 2 years will be common, and after that, you will be getting lot of options to do research. So there are more than 100 labs, and you can make your choices. If you want to go ahead with, say, auto kind of engineering, so you can actually join that lab. You can do that research for 2 years, so you will get a kind of specialization in that area. So it can be auto, IoT, or robotics, lot of other kind of options are there. And same is true for Tokyo Institute of Technology. Difference between these two universities: Tsukuba is a very traditional university. It's like any other traditional university in India. Tokyo Institute of Technology, they are very flexible, very global. So that's the main difference. My son is in Tsukuba University. He's in second year. My daughter also is in second year. She actually is in third semester, because Tokyo Institute of Technology starts from 1st of April. So immediately when CBSE got over, after 3-4 days, she joined the college. But she had that advantage. For IB, you will not have that advantage. And then university selection in Japan, my selection was Tsukuba University. I wanted to apply in Tohoku because my son was interested in robotics, but I couldn't apply because of this SAT criteria. Kyushu is very tricky. I don't know. I have never seen, at least for last 10 years, any CBSE person getting selected in the computer course. They have an aerospace course also. I think one of my friend's son got selected there 3 years back, but it's very competitive. I don't know what they look for. Very tricky. If I have to redo this again, I'll not apply for Kyushu. Tokyo Institute of Technology, I only applied this for my daughter, because for my son, during that COVID period, his exam got delayed, and it happened in, I think, April or May. So that is why I could not consider this option. So for my son, I applied in Tsukuba. Tohoku, I couldn't apply. Kyushu, Waseda, and Aizu. So he got into all the universities except Kyushu. Finally, we chose Tsukuba for him. For my daughter, we applied for Tsukuba University, Kyushu, Tokyo Tech, Waseda, and she got into all the universities except Kyushu. So Kyushu, we do not have the magic formula, but otherwise, more or less, I think all other universities are okay. So if you do your essay well, SAT score is reasonable, predictive scores are good, you can actually get into those kind of universities. Now, see, KO is a very good university. Very flexible course. They have a course called Giga. Now, why I didn't apply, I would like to explain that for 1 minute. See, they give a lot of flexibility. You can choose your courses. You can choose your stream. But only disadvantage is, maybe I think, I don't know whether I was correct or I was wrong on that front. They give you BA degree. They do not give you BE or BTech. So I was keen that I'll go ahead with the MTech for my son. See, for MBA, it may not matter. But for MTech, if they are going to US, it may matter, right? I don't know. I have not gone through the criteria for MTech in Japan, in US or other countries. But that can be a tricky point if you are having a BA degree. Secondly, if we are moving back to India, many of the companies, in IT, they do not consider the BA degree. So that was the only tricky part. I didn't consider KO. Otherwise, KO is a very good university. And I think last thing which I want to mention is simplify the overall process. Because see, what happens is it puts lot of pressure not only on kids, on us also, right? Make your choices clear before actually listening to the kids, right? So there are a lot of confusion, especially on parents who are on deputation. Because they may have to go back if company decides to end their deputation. So then decide what you want to do. And once it is clear, then you can listen to your kids. Choices are really limited. Have your backup plan ready. So no harm in going to level 2 universities, level 3 universities. And as a backup, if you want to apply in other countries also, you can do that. But do not have a backup of each kind of category, because again, it will put a lot of pressure. See, EJU is not a backup for SAT. So if you try to do that, then it will put a lot of pressure. So make your choices very clear. You want to go ahead with SAT, ACT or EJU. It is always preferable to appear for either for TOEFL or IELTS, right? That helps because some of the universities, they look for a TOEFL score. I don't know why. See, because SAT also will have two portions, your maths portion and English portion. But most of the universities, with my experience, they only look at your maths score in SAT. For English, they prefer TOEFL or IELTS score. So it is better. I think it is very easy. So it is better to appear either in TOEFL or IELTS. So make your choices very clear, so that basically, you can go to kids and discuss with them. Otherwise, they will also get confused. So thanks. I think rest of the portion we can cover in Q&A. So I'll pass it back to you, Prem. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabjot. I think that was a very insightful experience you shared. And I think as a parent, how I saw that was you have actually given a framework of how we should think about the whole process. And I think two very important points you suggested was like, first, as a parent, we have to decide where are we settling down or where do we want to be, and after that we start engaging with our kids also on that. And I loved the way you have formatted, like, decide the board, India or not India. If it's Japan, what are the exams we prioritize? And I think that point is also important. We cannot start preparing them for multiple exams. It will confuse them, it will overwhelm them. And then how you actually discarded other countries, that is also clear. Then we drill down to what engineering stream or whatever stream we are interested, then university, and then maybe the course. That's really a good framework. I think that's a good key takeaway. Hemant brought in a different point of view as an overview, which was very helpful, and you brought in a framework which everyone can use here. Thank you very much. And then I think then next we move to Khushi Jhaveri, who is taking care of EdYou. This is a professional consulting firm. And I see a lot of questions are being asked when Prabjot and Hemant talked about there are professional services. And this is one of it, because we have to take this in a very open way, that we will not be able to answer all the questions amongst ourselves as a parent. We will need some professional guidance, and that's where we bring in Khushi, who has volunteered for this, and she has answered on our request that, okay, can you share your thoughts? So I pass on to Khushi as the next speaker before we open up for the Q&A. Khushi, over to you.
Thank you very much, Prem San. Firstly, thank you to the organizing committee, Prem San and the others who have taken up this wonderful initiative to promote Japan's education. I think it was much needed. So thank you so much for all the effort that you've put. And also to the presenters, Prabjot san and Hemant san, I think your presentations were wonderful and very insightful. And it's really good to know that parents have so much knowledge about Japan's education. And also the parents and students who are attending today's webinar. Thank you so much for taking out time during a weekend to attend this session. And I hope my presentation provides valuable insights into Japan's education. So I'll start off with my presentation, starting off with a little about myself. I think Prem San has already explained a little about me, has introduced me really well. I'll just briefly go through what I'm doing at EdYou Japan. So actually, I've been living here for 20 years. I'm a Japanese citizen. I have studied at Keio University. And I've studied in the Faculty of Environment and Information Studies. I worked for the mixed government, Japan government's global network project, through which we are promoting Japan's education to students across the world. You may have seen me through the University of Tokyo webinars. So I've been working there for around 5 years. And I'd received a scholarship when I was studying at Keio University, which I will elaborate on during my presentation. And yes, that's it about me. And I'm currently working as the admissions counselor for EdYou Japan. So a little about, I think the parents have really well explained the structure of Japan's education system, but I'll just quickly go through what are the categories. So starting with national, which is by the Japanese government. Actually, national universities were earlier imperial universities. Before World War, they were called imperial universities. And post-World War, they're called national universities. Then there are public universities and there are private universities. In Japan, bachelor's is for 4 years. Whether you do commerce, whether you take sciences, whether you take humanities, whichever field you choose to go to, bachelor's is for 4 years, followed by 2 years of master's. There are 1 year MBA courses as well, but in general, master's is for 2 years. And PhD in Japan is only for 3 years. So if you choose to do PhD in the US or Canada or anywhere else, it's just for 4 years. And sometimes in the US, it can also go to 5 years. However, in Japan, it's only for 3 years. So after you graduate from high school, 4 years of bachelor's, 2 years of master's, and 3 years of PhD. So there are, as I mentioned, the private, public, and national universities. Public and national universities, the tuition fee is the same. It's, to be specific, it's 535,000 yen. However, if you take other expenses into consideration, this is the approximate tuition fee. Private universities range. They can start from 1 million yen per year up until 2 million yen per year. And there are many private universities. Public and national universities are comparatively lesser than private universities. And private universities have more seats. As Hemant san mentioned earlier, private universities have more seats than public and national universities. And private universities offer more scholarships. So even if it's expensive, they offer more scholarships. Public and national universities do not offer that many scholarships. And even if they do, it would be difficult for you to get a scholarship because you're living in Japan. So they prioritize families whose income statement is lesser. So please do not apply for scholarships in public and national universities. For private universities, you can. So these are some of the bachelor's programs that are 100% English offered by these universities. In addition to this, there are many universities that have English programs, but these are some of the main universities. So I just want to reiterate that NRIs cannot apply for the MEC scholarship. I've seen a couple of questions in the chat box as well. Keep this in mind that NRIs cannot apply for the MEC scholarship. However, you can apply for the private scholarship. So I myself, I applied for the Keio University scholarship for 3 years. So that is possible. But you cannot apply for the government scholarship. So private scholarship is okay. Government scholarship, you cannot apply because you already live in Japan. And Japanese is not a requirement. If you have proficiency in Japanese, great, but is it a requirement? No. Of course, if you have JLPT in 4 and 5 and 3, it would strengthen your application, but it is not mandatory. So please keep these 2 pointers in mind, and you can maybe take a screenshot of this, which universities offer which programs. I believe this will also benefit you after this webinar.
Khushi, we can distribute that one slide or later also, right?
Sure. Not a problem. You can certainly be happy to assist.
Thank you.
So which path you should take? Prabjot san really well explained that English proficiency tests, standardized tests, there's a lot of information about this. You probably have heard a lot from many people and are not sure which path to actually take. So as a professional in this field, I have a couple of advices for you, starting with, for English proficiency test scores, there are 2 tests, IELTS and TOEFL. Both are okay. You can take either. You can take IELTS or you can take TOEFL. However, I would recommend you to take IELTS. I find it, and many of the students find it, a little easier than TOEFL, but I would recommend you to check the sample papers. There are many sample papers on the internet. So please check the sample papers and then make a decision as to which is more suitable for you. In case you need help with how to prepare for the interview or how to take the IELTS test, we provide assistance for that. So you can approach us later after this webinar, and we help students with interview preparation and so forth. So regarding English proficiency test scores, again, either is okay. For standardized test scores, EJU is not needed. As Prabjot san also mentioned, EJU is not at all needed. Please focus on SATs. Or ACTs. Usually people take the SATs. So I would say, please focus on SAT examination. In SATs, you have to study the English subject and math. So the only 2 subjects, English and math. So please work on your SATs. Do not take the EJU. You might have heard from your teachers or from other people that EJU is needed, but it really isn't. If you can go to the application guidelines of the universities as well, and they will not say that EJU is needed. So please do not, you do not need to waste time behind EJU. Please focus on SATs. And I can assure you that EJU is not needed. And Japanese proficiency, as I mentioned earlier, it is not mandatory because when you enter the university, you'll have to take a placement test, and it's mandatory to learn Japanese. So Japanese language proficiency is not mandatory. However, if you have the certificate, it will certainly strengthen your application. So please keep this in mind. And visa, students with PR do not need to apply for visa because you come in the same quota as Japanese nationals. So you do not need to apply for the visa, but international students or students on dependent visa need to apply. Okay, and the visa process is really very easy. For the US or Canada or UK, it's really difficult. Or even for countries in Europe, it's very difficult to get a visa. It's very time consuming and it's really expensive. And there are times when students don't even get the visa until like 1 week before departure. In Japan, it's really very easy. The university handles a lot of it for you. So the COE application, the certificate of eligibility, all of those formalities are completed by the university. You don't have to do much. So do not worry. It's not a very complicated process. It's relatively easier to apply for a student visa. And for people with a PR, no problem. I was also earlier, I had a PR status in Japan. There was no issues. There's no formalities that need to be completed. So I hope this provided a little bit of clarity as to which path you should take right now. So these are some of the universities where we have partnerships with or where our students have gotten admission in. So some of the universities might be of your interest. So whether it's all these universities offer a range of programs, from business to humanities, liberal arts, engineering, bioscience, and a lot more. So we have partnerships with a couple of universities, and at the same time have also helped several students across the world to get admission into many of them with scholarships. So yes, you can take a picture of this maybe if you'd like to, and hopefully we can help you as well. So finding English programs in a university. Now, I'm sure many of you have a question as to where do you even find information about universities. There are so many websites. There's so many university websites, but it's so difficult to navigate them. Even the government-sponsored websites are really difficult to navigate. So EdYou Japan, yes, we help with counseling, but it's also a platform where we have all the information there about Japanese universities. It's a one-stop platform. So for example, today, if you're interested in Keio University, so you can just click, you can go to the Keio University profile here. So once you click here, the profile of Keio University will appear, and the academic disciplines that they offer. And if you want to know about what are the English programs offered, you click on this button, click here to explore English degree programs. Once you click here, you'll be directed to this website, degree programs offered in English. So it's a very easy to navigate website, and you get all your information here, whichever university you're interested in, whether it's Waseda University, University of Tsukuba, Doshisha University, any university, you get all the information here. So if you have a list of universities you're interested in, I would recommend you to go to the website, click on your university of interest, and then find the English programs. It's not very difficult, and I'll share with you the link later.
Thank you, Khushi. Khushi, sorry, on that website you showed,
Yes.
showed from university we can search courses, but can we search courses and then find out universities?
Yes. At the moment, that is not there. You cannot filter it.
You
We
can
are
look
working
into-
on it. But for now, if there are any universities, like a list of universities you have, you can visit their profiles. But yeah, definitely
Right.
we're working on the filtering option as well.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the queries we are getting into our WhatsApp group together, we are
Yeah.
looking at that, and there
Yeah.
is a need for that. We can work on that one.
Yes, yes. I really appreciate the feedback, and that's something we're working on. But for example, if you want to know the universities you can apply in, like for example, if you're interested in engineering, you can always sign up for a free consultation. So we'll tell you a few universities you can apply to. So even if there's no filtering option here, you can always sign up for a free consultation with us, and we'll tell you a few universities you can apply for. And I know that there are parents who already have universities in mind. So just to know a little more about the university, I would say just visit the profiles here and get a deeper insight into the university.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the 5-step process for university applications. I've seen a couple of questions in the Q&A in the chat box saying that when are we supposed to start? How are we supposed to start? How do you submit documents and so forth? So let me just make it easier for everyone today. For example, this is if you are applying for September 2025 enrollment, you need to start 1 year in advance. So for September 2025, I would recommend you to start the process. You have to apply to universities in September 2024. Okay. And if, for example, if you want help or if you want to use our services, then please come to us in July 2024. But if you don't choose us for applications, that's also completely okay. Your like for example, University of Tsukuba, their application period is in September. So for September 2025 enrollment, you have to apply in September 2024. So you have to start around 1.5 years before enrollment. As simple as that. Yeah. So for students who are enrolling in September 2025, please start your process in July 2024. At least start shortlisting your universities in July 2024. Take your IELTS examination, take your SATs examination. And then from September, you have to apply to universities. From September until Feb, you'll have to apply to universities. And then you'll get your results in May and June. From March to June, you'll get your results. It really depends because Japan's education system is very fragmented. Like in India, it's very centralized. You take NEET, you take IIT-G and other examinations, and depending on your marks, you go to a particular university. But in Japan, that's not the case. Within, for example, within Keio University, the application period for GIGA and for the GIGA program and the application period for the Pearl program, the economics program, is different. Same for Tsukuba University, Waseda University, and so forth. The application period is different for every university. So I would recommend you to start the process in July 2024 for September 2025 enrollment. Okay, and this is the process. So first you find programs of your interest, then documentation. So letters of recommendation, essays, transcripts, you have to get all of this issued by your school or your university if you're interested in masters. Then scholarships, scholarship essays, interview preparation. We help you with interview preparation as well. Many of the high school students are not well prepared to give interviews, and that is what we help students with. And then apply to universities. And enrollment procedures are quite simple, not very tedious. But the first 4 steps are tedious. They can be daunting, but we help you with that. So please start the process as soon as possible for September 2025 enrollment. And this is the application process like. So first is the online application system, okay? For some universities, you have to post the documents. For example, for Waseda University, the master's programs, you have to post the documents, postal mail. But for some universities like KUAS or KO and so forth, you can just do it online. So first is the online application system. Second is the announcement of the first stage, okay? Then comes the second stage screening. So this is optional actually. For some universities, they don't have second stage. For some universities, they have second stage. For some universities, they do not have second stage. So it really depends. So for example, at KUAS, Kyoto University of Advanced Science, there is no second stage. But for Waseda University, if you get a certain offer, then you have to do the second stage. So it really depends. For Tsukuba University, there's a second stage as well. So first stage is mandatory in all universities. Second stage depends. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. And once the final result is announced, then the enrollment procedures start. Okay. And second stage screening is when you get a conditional offer. There are 2 types of offers: unconditional and conditional offer. So some universities have a conditional offer. Some universities tell you that maybe you can get into the university, maybe you cannot get into the university. So that is called conditional and unconditional. And yeah, I hope this provided a little more clarity as to what are the steps of the admission process. So now I'll tell you, where does EdYou Japan come? So the online application system is handled by us. So EdYou Japan will take charge of shortlisting universities, profile evaluation, documentation, essays. Of course, we'll not write your essays, but we'll proofread them. What to include in the essay, what to not include in the essay is also handled by us. And the submission. Online submission will also be done by us. And this is between September 2024 and December 2025. Second stage screening also we help you with. So EdYou Japan will train your child to boost their confidence for university interviews. And this is in January 2025 and May 2025. And lastly is the enrollment procedures, which we'll also help you with. And that is after May 2025. So as you can see here, the online 3 steps, the online application system, the second stage screening, and the enrollment procedures. We help you with that, and which I'll be explaining in further detail. but I hope this provided better clarity as to how the admission process is like. You can take a picture of this. I'll give you a few seconds to take a picture of this, and maybe you can refer to this later. I hope everyone has taken a picture. Okay, I'll be going to next slide. I will not dive too much into this. I'll do this really quickly. So how do we support finding and shortlisting universities, application management? As I said, every university has a different application timeline. So we'll handle all of that for you. All the documentation, gathering, organizing documents, transcript, test scores, recommendation letters, everything is done by us. Interview preparation, we provide coaching and mock interviews to boost your confidence for interviews. And reminders and deadlines. So it's very difficult to keep track as to when you have to apply, where you have to apply, how do you have to apply. So we keep track of all the application periods. Essay and proofreading support is also done by us. I know that many schools do not have counselors. So this can be very difficult, and probably teachers do not support as much. So we help you with that as well. Effective strategies. So for example, many of you may know that volunteering is quite important. So where can you volunteer? What other certificates you can do? We also provide recommendations for that, and scholarship applications. And these are the 4 main things that students, really, parents come to us for. This is what we are known for. And yeah, are we trustable? So these are some of the testimonials, and we've helped a couple of students get scholarships as well. I believe many people are interested in Waseda, Tsukuba, and so forth. So we've helped students get into these universities, not only for bachelor's, but even for master's and PhD. So yes, this is, if you want to contact us, please check our website. This is our email address, Instagram as well. You can message us on Instagram. We are going to create a Facebook page soon, which you'll be updated with. Or you can book a free consultation at your earliest convenience. So please take a picture of this as well. And yes, I hope I was able to provide you with further insights into Japan's education. Yes. Yeah. So please take a picture of this as well, because I will not be sharing my screen soon. So I hope everyone has taken a
No worries,
picture.
Khushi, we can share the slides.
Okay,
Later.
great then.
Thank you very much.
So yes, thank you so much. Yes, I hope I didn't bore the audience too much. And yeah, we all would be happy to answer all your questions in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you, Khushi, for that introduction on the details. The parents have decided what they want to do, and kids have made up their mind on what they want to do. And definitely it's really helpful to have you around so that you can guide to the next steps and get them where they want to reach. Thank you very much. Okay, so with that, I think the first 3 speakers have given their views. I can also see a lot of questions have been asked and also answered parallelly. What we will try to do now, we'll open up for Q&A. We have planned this session till 12. So we have another 50 minutes odd. So let's try to cover as much as we can. If we are unable to answer, we can take it offline in the forum itself. Okay.
Just one thing I missed out on my earlier part. I would like to request all parents to go through the university websites and cross-check whether all the 4-year curriculum is in English, because a couple of universities which I had shortlisted and called, I came to know that initial 1.5 to 2 years is all in English, and during this period they train you in Japanese, and the rest of 2 years or whatever curriculum is there, it is all in Japanese. So I definitely didn't want my kid to study in Japanese. So we opted not to apply for those kind of universities too. So this is yes, though the university might have the website in English, but you need to cross check with the admission office too.
Thank you, Hemant, for that additional note. It's very important. Okay, then any other comments, Prabjot, Khushi, before we get into Q&A? Okay.
No, I just want to add one very small thing. So for parents and students who want to enroll in September 2025, please start the process as soon as possible. Start collecting your documents. I think all of us today, the presenters, have told you which path you should take, which examinations are preferred. So please go ahead and take examinations as soon as possible and start collecting your documents. Please don't wait for the at the end moment. Start writing your essays, and please get clarity as to which stream you want to. And even if you don't want to, just make sure that whichever stream you go ahead with, for example, you you are every all your children might be 18 or 17 or 19, they're very young. They might not know which path to take, which is okay. So there are many liberal arts programs as well that they can apply for, so they do not need to have 100% clarity as to what they want to do. So parents, please be open with the path that your child wants to take. That's really important. And also, please start the process as soon as possible. Yes, that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Khushi. Okay, let's get into then Q&A. I can see some hands raised. I'm assuming they want to ask the question. And also we have a lot of queries in the Q&A. So I'll hand over to Ashish, co-host, to take it from here and start prioritizing the questions and taking ahead. Ashish?
Thanks, Prem. And thanks, Hemant, Prabjot ji, and Khushi for sharing all that important knowledge, information. A couple of questions Hemant and Prabjot ji has already answered, so I'm going to skip those questions. But I have picked up some questions, and some questions might have some kind of overlap. So, but let's try to go through maximum questions we can take it possible in this given time. So the first question is to Hemant. There was a question like, is Japanese language needed for Waseda? And I think Hemant, you said something that there is another way instead of SAT. So what is that way one parent wants to understand? And can you please clarify the approximate time when application started and what was the score info typically needed to make the application?
Yeah, thanks, Ashish, for having those compiled. I will go with the first one about the Japanese language. So since the curriculum is in English, as such, there is no specific requirement for Japanese level. For me, my daughter was in 4, and still she was able to get admission to Waseda. So, and the oral university curriculums in Japan, they have Japanese language as one of the subjects. So it might not be as what you can say, level may not be that high. It might be somewhere up equivalent to N4, N5 courses, but they have such courses in as part of your credit curriculum in the universities. Regarding Waseda, how we got admission, even though we didn't give subject set. So we had to get all the recommendation letters apart from the standard recommendation letters from the teachers. We had to get evaluations letters from the respective subject teachers. Also, what kind of what you can say topics were covered in those subjects. For physics, what was covered; for maths, what was covered. So all that listing and evaluation of the kid was provided by us to Waseda. So that was how we were able to get admission to Waseda, even though it was not the standard route. Sorry, Ashish, can you please mention the third one?
The third one was about the what kind of scores or information typically needed to make the application.
Yeah, so I would say SAT score definitely anything above 1400 as per my understanding is a good score. But yes, 1450, 1470 onwards, those are really very good scores. And Japan typically they rely heavily on SAT. That is the recent information what I have. But yes, my information may be a bit old, and Khushi might be able to pitch better here, since she is in that field.
Yeah. Just adding, thank you so much, Hemant san. Just adding to what you've said. SAT does hold importance in your application. There's no doubt in that. But what makes Japanese universities stand out is that they do not only look at how you are in academics. Yes, it's important, very important. But at the same time, they look at how you are as an individual, what other things you've been involved in. So have you done anything else for the community, whether it's through volunteering or extracurricular activities? What have you done other than academics? Because nowadays, right, post-COVID, it has changed. Admission office are becoming a little more stricter. There have been times when students have gotten great SAT scores and great marks, but they have not been accepted to universities in Japan. It has become really competitive. So what I would say to you is that yes, work on SATs, work on your marks, very important, but also work on other things. Do other things. For example, if you're going to India for a summer break or your respective country for a summer break, yes, enjoy with your family, but at the same time also be involved in activities there. You can join an organization for 1 day thing, 2 day thing, do online certifications, do as much as possible. That's how I would say I would recommend you to strengthen your application. Work on SATs, but at the same time also work on other things because they see how you are as a student in all spheres, not only in academics but in other realms as well. So that's my recommendation. Yeah, thank you, Hemant.
Thanks, Kushi. Thanks, Hemant. Because this is an information sharing and being a parent, and based on my research and all the knowledge I have gathered, two things I'll suggest here. One is, although universities are not insisting or asking for Japanese language, but if you are considering a career in Japan, then these universities are encouraging to go for language course. So think about that. If you are even getting into the English-based university, that's one thing. Second is SAT. If your kids are in 9th, 10th, it is not bad to start thinking of preparing early, because then you are giving more time for kids to prepare. And what Hemant said, that score is not easy to get above 1400, which is a very good score. So it will give good time to prepare if kids can start early for that. And there are 2 attempts you can do. So first attempt can give you better understanding, and second attempt can be a final attempt to get the needed score. So just 2 suggestions from my side. Now moving on to the next questions for Prabjot ji. How is Tohoku University entrance different from other universities? I guess you have answered to an extent, but if you can shed a light on that quickly, I think it will be useful.
Okay. See, honestly, I don't remember exactly, but what happened was I had SAT score for my son, and they don't only look for SAT. You should have either IB score or ACT score. If you have either of these two, then you can apply. Only on basis of SAT you cannot apply. So that is why actually my son was not eligible. But I think we'll have to check the website again, or maybe Khushi can answer better. I don't know the situation now. I'm talking about 3 years back.
Yeah.
I would like to add upon the Tohoku University because one of my friends is a Japanese national, and they wanted to apply for Tohoku University. So what different is for PR holders or Japanese nationals is that you have to get into touch with the admission office. Usually for other PR non-PR holders or non-nationals, the all application is online, and for PR holders or nationals, you have to provide all the documents physically, and that process is different for PRs or national holders. It is not in the same time frame, and also the admission, right? It may not be in the same consideration as what I would like to say. The priority may be given to non-nationals and non-PR holders, but it all depends on you have to prove that all your education was in English, and you have taken up necessary courses which are necessary for their curriculum. So that is, it's not that Tohoku is closed for PR or national holders, but yes, the process is a bit different and lengthy.
Right. And one more thing, actually, one of my son's friend who was doing IB, his application was considered. So I think they consider IB for sure. But we interacted with the admission department, though initially they said it will be okay, but later on they didn't consider the application.
Thanks, Hemant. Thanks, Prabjot ji. So next question is to Khushi about admission and selection criteria. And the question is, will it be different to public universities for students who studied in Japan and those who studied in India and wanted to pursue undergraduation in Japan?
Okay. So the admission process to public universities, is that what the person is asking?
Yes, for the public universities.
Yeah. So for public universities, there are very less seats. There are only 5 to 6 seats, max 10, but the very less seats. So what I would say is, when you're starting to apply to Japanese universities, apply to public universities. But I would say don't have very high expectations. That would be my recommendation. Because also the application fee is something I want to talk about. So when you apply to a university, there's an application fee. For public universities, it's 5,000 yen. Okay. And for private universities, it's 35,000 yen. Huge difference. It's 8 times more. For private universities, it can be 30,000 yen, 35,000 yen, but around that range. But for public and national universities, it's 5,000 yen, which is fixed. So I would say with public universities, you can take the risk. 5,000 is not a small amount. So even if you want to apply, apply. Do not hesitate to apply. Apply to public universities, try your luck. But don't have high expectations. Have higher expectations from private universities. And you don't have to apply to many private universities. Only apply to private universities where you think you'll get in. Or I'll tell you that, maybe apply to these universities, you'll most likely get in. Yeah, so that's the difference. Apply to public universities. Do not apply. Please apply to public universities and national universities, but don't have high expectations. That's my recommendation to you. Yeah, I hope I answered the question.
Thanks, Khushi.
Sorry.
I have questions to Khushi. Can I ask?
Sorry, yeah. Well, just a second. Ashish, there are a few hands up. Maybe we can prioritize them and come back to the queries from what you have already planned.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, you can choose. I think I see a hand from Velu Perumal. Is it okay to have?
Can I ask?
Yeah, Velu. Thank you. Please, you can ask.
Yeah. Khushi, thanks for the session. My son currently is in Tsukuba. And I am looking for, have you got any idea, is there any architectural course in Japan where students are studying? Because most of the thing whoever covered is related to the engineering and the environmental science. So I'm looking for my daughter. So do you have any idea about architectural related courses in Japan?
Yeah. There are a few courses. For example, my program at Kyoto University, the Faculty of Environment and Information Studies, as Prabjot-san said, it's a very complicated program. There are many fields. Okay. So in that particular department, you have to choose a king. So in Japan, it's called Kinkyukai, which means seminar. So for example, if your daughter wants to do architecture, there's a seminar on architecture, so she can join that. So her major would be architecture. So my program is there. There are a few more universities. They are more centered towards urban design. So if you're interested in urban designing as well, if your child is interested in urban designing, there are many programs. So is that something that you're looking for? Urban designing is also okay?
No, just now I started searching. I don't have much information on that, but looking into that, something kind of design and architect perspective.
Yeah. There are a few courses, not many, but there are a few courses. And if she's a little flexible, there are many courses on urban designing. She probably will not get bachelor's in architecture, but she can get bachelor's in urban design and so forth. So that is there. And I can probably provide further assistance later. But
so that is equivalent to engineering degree kind of because in India the architectural is 4.5 years. So but here most of the degrees are in BA.
Yeah, it really is. There's BA. It's Bachelor's of Arts. Yeah. It's not engineering. Architecture usually comes in BA in Japan.
Yeah, because one of my parents and they are studying in US. When we go for back to India, and when
Yeah.
we submit our degree,
Right.
BE or BA, so there they give weightage only to the BE.
Yeah. It's out here, architecture does not come in engineering. It's different from India, unfortunately, but it comes in the field of arts. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Just a request to parents who have raised the hands. Let's keep our questions on a broad level rather than one-to-one. Now you know whom to contact one-to-one. That you can do it in the forum also, outside the forum also, in the WhatsApp. I'll give back to Ashish, and he can make a choice to go ahead with hands raised or the queries he has prepared.
Yeah, so one question which is coming quite often is the confusion around scholastic assessment test, that is the SAT, and also around the language proficiency. So I just, maybe before just going to Khushi for a much more clarification, from my understanding, these two things are different. Language proficiency, either IELTS or TOEFL you go, that is from a Japanese university, wants to see what level of language proficiency you have, mainly English, targeting English. And SAT is different. It is scholastic assessment test. It is not about language. It has an English component, but it has also major focus on mathematics. Khushi, to you, if you want to clarify, because this question is coming quite often.
Yeah. So regarding language proficiency, Japanese is not needed. If you have the GLPT N4, N5, N3, if you have the certificate already, then that's great. It will help your profile. More the certificates, more the documents, the better it is. So if you have a language GLPT certificate, please submit it. If you don't have it, it's okay. You can still apply. You're eligible to apply. But I would say, if you have the time and if you know basic Japanese, take the test. Take N5. Don't take N4. Take N5 at least. Especially if your child is in 10th grade, he probably has more time at the moment. So I would suggest just take the N5 test. It's not mandatory though. Please keep this in mind. It is not mandatory. If you don't like the Japanese language, if you're not really interested, then it's okay. You do not need to learn. But if you have the time, if you're a little interested, if you know Japanese already a little, then please take the examination. It's not very difficult. N5 is very easy to pass. It won't take much time. Just a little bit of, I think, 2 months of studying and you will be done. So if you can, take the test. If you can't, it's okay. You can still apply. Okay. So that's for the Japanese proficiency test. And the SATs, yes, as Ashish San accurately pointed out, there are 2 sections, the English section and the math section. Both are out of 800 points. 800 for English, 800 points for math. Now, it's usually, some might say it's better if you get more than 1400. It's better if you get more than 1200. But just keep in mind that don't put too much pressure on your children. Everyone initially gets low. They get 1000. It's not bad. It takes a lot of time to reach 1400. Unless you are like a very good student in class, then 1400, 1500 makes sense. But majority of the students come in the middle tier. So I would say, yes, push your child to score well in SATs, but don't put too much pressure because you have to take SATs 2-3 times. You cannot ace it in once. That is not possible. Even I did. So please don't put too much pressure on your children when it comes to SATs. First SATs, they will get 1000. Most, I'm talking about middle tier students, they would get 1000. Eventually, by the third SATs, if you can get 1200, 1300, 1400, amazing. But it will gradually happen. It won't happen overnight. You can't just take one SAT test and okay, done. You have to take 2-3 SAT tests. So accordingly, do arrange your, make a timeline. That okay, maybe in July I can take 1 SAT. The next SAT I can give in maybe September. So you get a 6-month preparation time. So in a year, at least take 1 or 2 SATs to get an idea as to where you are. And if you're not prepared, don't take the SATs. That practice tests available online. Many of you may know Khan Academy. Use these free sources. They're not at all paid. Please use these free resources online. Check Khan Academy. Do practice tests repeatedly. Very important. Because SAT is not very difficult. The format is same. The kind of questions they ask is pretty much the same, but you need to practice. That's really important. So yeah, I don't want to digress a lot, but please work on your SATs. Forget EJU, forget ACTs, keep all of that aside. Work on SATs, regardless of what your teachers, counselors, so forth say. Please just work on your SATs. It will suffice. I can assure you that. I think also the parents here have said the same thing. Their children have gotten into great universities here. So please listen to us. Do not waste time on EJU, ACT. Work on SATs. Take 2-3 times a year. Fine. Just work on SATs. Yeah.
I think I would like to add one point, though Khushi-san has covered most of it. See, SAT, there will be two parts, maths and English. Do not try to improve your English score. See, because that will be tricky. If you can improve your math score, that should be sufficient. Even though you are getting average score in English, no point in improving, better to give TOEFL. So you can actually submit the combination of math score in SAT and English in TOEFL. It will work. But if you are looking for US, UK, Europe, then you need a overall good score in SAT. Otherwise, SAT, you focus mainly on maths, which will not be difficult. Getting 750 in maths will not be difficult. So if you can basically study for 1 or 2 months and give 3, 4, 5 exams, it will be easy. So don't worry. Don't pressurize your kid to improve the English score so that you can get 1450, 1500, doesn't matter. Out of 800, if you are getting 750 and above in math, that should be sufficient. Even if you are getting 550 in English, it will be okay. Japanese university, they are not bothered about English score. So don't worry too much about your overall score. So this 1400 above actually is not required. That's my experience. So I'm only speaking from my experience, and I have seen a few of other colleagues, kids going to universities in Japan. If you have good score in maths, that should be sufficient.
Thanks,
just one addition to it. For those who are trying to target Nagoya University, then yes, SAT is a very important aspect there, because Nagoya University publishes the average SAT score, which for which the admissions have been allocated to students. So yes, getting admission to Nagoya is a very difficult one. Many aspects they consider, but SAT is also one of the major aspects what is there. And usually 1450 plus is a very good score to go into Nagoya. So, but of course, it's up to individual parents who wants to target Nagoya. One of my friends' son recently got admission to Nagoya, and his score was very high in SAT.
Thanks, Hemant. The global good score or acceptable score is generally 1200 for SAT. So just keep in mind. And as I said, start early so you get better time to prepare and get a good score. So Khushi, in continuation to the previous question, there is another question from a couple of parents, like if the student or the kid is in IB or A's level, should they consider IELTS or TOEFL?
Not needed. Not needed at all. Honestly, also for CBSE, you don't need, because there's something known as Certificate of English Proficiency. So if your IELTS or TOEFL scores aren't good, you can submit the Certificate of English Proficiency. And yeah, that can be issued by the school. And the template, we usually give it to students. But that you don't need to take IELTS or TOEFL. But I would say take it. You never know. It can strengthen your application. See, things like Japanese proficiency, IELTS, all of this can strengthen your application. That's why I'm saying take it. Worst case, you won't score well. And then, depending on your score, I'll tell you that you should submit or you should not submit. But I would recommend you to take it. Take the IELTS test. I know it's expensive. It's not really affordable, but just take it. It's an investment. So please take the IELTS test. Whether you're in CBSE also doesn't need, IB doesn't need. IB also sometimes doesn't need SATs. But I would say, even if it's not a requirement, take it. You have time, take it. If you don't have time, that's a different story. But if you have time, then please take such tests. Yeah.
Thanks, Khushi. And there is another question, which is about like, what about resident card or limited visa? So dependent visa, should it be changed to student visa? That's the
Yes.
question.
Yes, you will have to. You have to change the student visa. All of that, the university will do it for you. You don't have to do much. When you're filling up the application forms, they'll ask you what is your current status in Japan. So you have to tell them that you're on a dependent visa or another visa. And then accordingly, they'll tell you what to do, what are the formalities like. So you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, if you are on a dependent visa, you are an international student. If you have PR, you come in the quota of the Japanese students. Very simple, not complicated. International, if you have a dependent visa, you might be able to apply for more scholarships than for students who have PR. Okay, but again, regarding the scholarships, I forgot to mention this earlier. See, people out here have very good income statements, right? People, when compared to India, when compared to people from India. So don't have such high expectations, because there are many families in India who actually need the scholarship, and that's why they are prioritized. Out here, apply for the scholarship from the second year, not the first year. Apply for the scholarship later, because Indians or South Asians or people from other countries will be prioritized. So yeah, this is regarding the scholarship. But again, coming back to the previous question, yeah, I hope I answered the question. Yeah.
Just one more point. See, some of the universities will have a quota for scholarship and non-scholarship. So like Tokyo Institute of Technology, they'll have a quota for non-scholarship students. If you apply in scholarship part, it will be much more competitive. Up to you. But see, being a national university, fees will not be high. It is always better to have a non-scholarship option if you can afford it. Otherwise, on other category, there will be a lot of competition. Now, I'm not talking about competition within Japan. Outside Japan, there will be a lot of competition.
Thank you. So we move on to the next question. This is for Hemant. IB board students have restrictions in taking all science subjects. They can take only 2 science subjects from physics, chemistry, bio, and CS. What would be their options at Waseda?
Yeah, the main thing why we had to opt this was my child was from CBSE, so that's the reason we had to opt for this. But I think for IB itself, the scores are, as Khushi mentioned, the IB scores itself are self-explanatory, and with those, I think that this is not mandatory.
Okay, thanks, Hemant. There is a related question to Hemant, but I will also request Khushi to, if possibly, answer. So there is a question about, are there number of seats declared in the sense of information per course in any university? I doubt, but
Usually it is not declared. It's up to universities to decide on the number of courses. What I have learned is that usually they may give offer to 7 or 8 students, but may not all students may not apply. So it is usually for national universities, what I have learned is around 5 to 6 students intake per course is what I have seen till date.
Yeah, I think that's right. My experience also has been same. Every year they are saying they'll increase the seats, but most of the times it will remain between 5 to 7 or maximum 8.
Yeah, and one of the reasons for this is that earlier there used to be a program called Global 30, wherein Japanese government used to provide the necessary amount to Japanese universities. But now that Global 30 program stopped, I guess, around 4 to 5 years back. So now it is all up to the universities to have sustain whatever amount they get from the student fees and carry on the curriculum. And also one of the thing is that since they have the Japanese curriculum as well as English curriculum, so the lab facilities, etc., right, those get limited, and that's the reason the number of students also get limited for that particular university, wherein both the courses are offered, Japanese as well as English.
Thanks. Khushi, do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah. So regarding the seats, universities do not reveal it, but they, if you go to the guidelines, they might have, some universities have a section as to 2023 how many people applied, how many people got in. 2020, for the past 10 years, how many people applied, how many people got in. If you see that, the past statistics, you kind of get an idea as to how many people they take. That's how you usually roughly calculate the seats. They don't publicly reveal it, as they've mentioned, as the other presenters mentioned, but you can make an estimate. Okay, this university takes, around these many students, or this university takes about these many students. Yes, finding those statistics is very, very difficult. It's not easy. But that's where we help. We have like a database as to how many seats which university has, and accordingly tell you to apply to those universities. So that is what we have. But in general, if you go to the website, you will not really find unless you go to the past statistics. So I would recommend you that if you want to know the number of seats, try and go to the past statistics. You most likely will not be able to find it. And if that's the case, feel free to approach us. But yeah, it's not publicly available. It's only the people in this field, like university representatives or counselors, they have an idea that, okay, this university takes around this much, or in this program of this universities, they are more flexible. That's what we do as professionals, but for parents and students, that's not publicly available.
Thanks, Khushi.
Yeah.
Next question is to Hemant. Is there any alternative course in Waseda for bioscience available, like biomechanical engineer, medical engineering, something like that?
Sorry,
Your
you're
mic.
audible.
Thank you. Sorry. Unfortunately, Waseda stopped the bioscience course 2 years back. So there are no bio-related curriculum available in Waseda now.
Okay. Prabjot ji, there is question for you that one parent's son is in Japan who is on dependent visa and 18 years old and doing undergraduate from India. Once the dependent visa expires, can they renew the dependent visa again, and whether can he continue his study from India or he needs to get admission in Japan? So advice is requested. Prabjot ji, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, Ashish. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I will repeat. So there is a question from parent for his son, that son is in Japan who is on dependent visa and 18 years old and doing undergraduate from India.
Right.
Once the dependent visa expires, can they renew the dependent visa again, and whether can he continue his study from India or he needs to get admission in Japan?
See, basically, you have all the options available. You can apply from India, you can apply from Japan. You can apply with dependent visa, you can apply without visa also. So all those options are open.
Okay, I think this is quite a pointed question also.
Yes, and just one thing I would like to add. The dependent visa is up to a certain age. So I guess it is 20 or 25 years. I need to check. But post that, it is no longer dependent unless and until you are still continuing in Japan.
That's
Right.
true. That's true. There is another question about what is the difference between SAT and ACT. Maybe Hemant, Prabjot ji, anyone you can answer that.
Sorry, for me, actually, we primarily focused on SAT. More or less, actually, pattern will be same. It will be combination of maths and English. So you can either go for SAT or for ACT. Not much of difference. But what I have seen is most of students prefer SAT. They do not go for ACT. I don't know what is the reason, but I have also personally not seen the content of ACT. Maybe Khushi-san can answer better or Hemant-san can answer better, but that's my experience.
Just to add to what Prabjot san is saying, so the difference between SAT and ACT is that ACTs have science as well. There's a science section. SATs don't. So that's why many people do not opt for ACTs and they go for SATs, because it's the lesser sections, there's only English and math, and there's no science. And that's the reason for why we all are recommending you to go for SATs, because it's easier, more than easier, it's just 2 subjects. You just have to kind of work on 2 subjects. Science doesn't come in the picture. So that's the difference. So if you're, for example, taking economics or commerce, business, finance, or taking liberal arts, I don't think science is really relevant for those fields. So I would say in that case, please take SATs. That would be better. Yeah.
One addition, as per my limited understanding, there used to be subject SAT separately one from the standard SAT. Now that subject SATs exam is discontinued, nowadays it is more focused on ACT and especially in US universities, I guess ACT is given more weightage nowadays.
That's true. So just in continuation to previous question, Khushi, there is a question from parent asking what is the weightage division between the board result, the curriculum result, the SAT, other exams like recommendation letters, essays, and so on. So is there any kind of weightage that universities in general considering?
So I would say essays. Essays are the most important. You can get great marks. You can get fantastic SAT scores. Your essays aren't good, you'll not get admission. It's really simple. Your essays need to reflect how they want to see how you are as a person. This is not only Japan, it's across the world. So if you choose to go to US as well, or any other country, please make sure you're working on your essays. It's extremely important. How to write your essays, how to make it compelling, how can you make it appealing? Sorry, how can you make it appealing? The universities want to know how you are as a person. If you want to do engineering, why engineering? What is that interests you in engineering? What kind of professors are in the university that interests you? What kind of courses you want to do? These are some things you need to elaborate on through your essays. So I would say essays have a huge, it's not the only metric for evaluation, but it's one of the most important ones. Essays, letter of recommendation is really not in your hand. It really depends on your recommender. But what is in your hand is essays. So please work on your essays. And of course, the normal SAT scores, transcripts, and all of that is important, that everyone knows, but work on your essays. Make it as good as possible. More than making it sound fancy, make sure you're honest. This is one thing I tell all my clients as well. If you're not honest, they're not going to take you. It's really simple. You need to be honest in your essays. Why do you like engineering? What do you want to do in engineering? If you like business, okay, what do you want to do with a degree in business? If you like liberal arts, what do you want to do with liberal arts? Be honest in your essays. Straight to the point. And why this university? You cannot just say that, okay, I like engineering, so I apply to the university. No, that's not a valid reason. You need to elaborate more as to why. What is so good about this university? Is it the professors, students, the cultural environment there, the academic? What is it that is interesting? So I would say, please work on your essays. That's really important. If you need guidance for essays, we'll help you personally, but please work on your essays. And of course, work on SATs and transcripts and all of that, but work on essays primarily. Yeah.
Thanks, Khushi. So just for clarity,
sorry, give me a few seconds,
okay.
Because now we are approaching 12 p.m., which we planned initially, but we can also see there are a lot of questions still we can take, and we should take. There are around 100 people still in the call. So I mean, seeing this, we are extending this call for 30 minutes. It's not a push. If you have to move somewhere else, please go ahead. But our speakers have really volunteered for this extended 30 minutes also. So stay around and keep your questions concise and to the point so that we can cover as much as possible. Back to you, Ashish.
Yeah, good, Prem. I think a lot of questions are still there. Just one clarification I want to give. There is something called SOP, Statement of Purpose. So other than Japan, the universities, if you target for US, UK, Canada, they ask this. Essay is a little different. So don't mix with it. Obviously, in the essay, you might, the questions that are needed for SOP are common ground. But as shared, suggested, uh, better to follow the guideline of be honest. That is the most important thing. Khushi, one more question to you again. It is very specific, like what universities in Japan offer undergraduate program in finance and quantitative finance mainly?
Quantitative finance. So for finance, you can look into. So one more thing for bachelor's degrees, right? For example, in NUCB, there's a program called BBA. All right, a global BBA, which is business administration. Within that, there are many majors or many specializations that you could opt for. Okay, so even if the department name is, for example, bachelor's in business administration, even if the diploma is that or the department is that, under that there are many specializations or many fields. Even for engineering, for example, it is probably computer application, bachelor's in computer applications. Within computer application, there must be software or AI or I don't know, robot interaction, whatever. So there are many. This is called Kinkyukai seminar. Okay, in Japan it's called Kinkyukai or Zemi. It really depends. So you have to choose a seminar. Now coming back to the question as to finance, many universities offer finance, but you also need to look into business programs because in Japan, there are many bachelors in business and administration. Okay, so even though a diploma will have bachelors in business administration, within that, there's a finance seminar or a finance specialization. So please don't get carried away by the name of the diploma. Also look a little more in depth as to, okay, these are the specialization, these are the courses offered, these are the seminars that I can join. Please look into that as well. So just because you go on a university website, you see business administration, don't just eliminate that. Look more into that. Okay, even if it's business administration, inside that there is finance, 100%. So for example, if you go to NUCB's profile right now, you most likely will see a finance specialization as well. So that would be my recommendation. Please look into the program thoroughly. See the curriculum. Curriculum is the key. So whenever you go to a program, check, for example, go to business administration and then see the curriculum. There'll 100% be finance. So yes, I hope I answered the question.
Thanks, Khushi. There is another question mainly targeted to Prabjot ji about, but I think Khushi, you can jump in. I think you might also have opinion around this. So the question is, how will admission work in the month of April, immediately after finishing the 12th exam without getting the result in some of the universities? So before having the result in hand, how it will work?
Yeah, so Ashish, I've answered this in chat also. Basically, no, they don't look for your final result. If you can get one letter from school, no, that should be good enough. That you have completed the high school education, that is okay.
So typically, you get predicted scores from the schools based on which you can apply for the universities.
But Hemant, this question is, I think, more targeted from not from the predicted score, but from that whether university will allow to enter the university without having the actual result in hand. I think that's the pointer here.
No, they allow. So only thing is you have to get that letter from school, and that should be good enough.
Okay, I think that's good. Then there is another question, maybe Khushi, if you can answer this, whether there is any waiting list concept like India for getting admission here in Japan universities.
Yes, there is. Not all universities, some universities. So for example, Tsukuba has, University of Tsukuba, there's a waiting list. For Waseda University, there's a waiting list. So some universities do. Majority of the universities don't, but some do. So for University of Tsukuba, they tell you that, are you interested in you're on the waiting list, but are you interested in the university? Then we will, keep you in the waiting list, or else we'll remove you. So I would say in that case, please keep yourself in the waiting list. Even if you're not interested in the university, keep yourself. You never know. What if you just get accepted and you get a better offer at University of Tsukuba? So keep yourself. Even if you don't want to go to University of Tsukuba, keep yourself in the waiting list. That's very important. So yeah, some universities offer, like Waseda and Tsukuba have the waiting list concept. Yeah.
Thanks, Khushi. So in continuation, there is one more question from parent that his kid have Japanese nationality. Are there any ways to apply public universities of the English course in Japan? And he saw some of the universities accept only non-Japanese nationality students.
Now, for public universities, it's a little difficult. Okay. For some universities, not at all allowed. For some universities, it's a little difficult. So I would say, as a Japanese national, you can apply to some public universities, but again, there are only 5 to 6 seats. They prioritize international students. Try your luck. It's only 5,000 yen, the application fees. So just try your luck. Worst case, you won't get it. It's fine. You didn't lose much. So apply. There are a few programs. Maybe I think University of Tsukuba takes. So I would say apply. But Nagoya and all up, I wouldn't say apply. I wouldn't say apply to Nagoya. Don't apply to Tohoku. Don't waste your time there. But some universities do. It depends which field you're interested. There are many universities that are public and national. There's Tokyo. There's so many. There's University of Aizu, that's a public university. Then there is Shimane University, Shizuoka University. There are just many universities that are public and national, apart from Tsukuba and Nagoya and Tohoku. So please look into other programs as well. I had shared actually during my presentation, there was a list of public universities and national universities. So please look into the programs offered and you can apply to those universities.
Sorry, a bit different to what Khushi mentioned. Just Tohoku, yes, they have openly mentioned on their website. But for Nagoya, one of my friends who is now Japanese national, his son will be starting in Nagoya from September. So Nagoya, as such, even when we applied, there is no restriction on the nationality part. But yes, Tohoku definitely yes, and there is other alternative how you can apply to Tohoku.
Yeah. Adding to what Hemant-san said, see, for universities like Tohoku, Nagoya, there are very less seats. Okay, I don't know how that person is in academics, but very less seats. So I would say it's very competitive. So instead of wasting time on those universities, I would recommend you to focus on other universities. That's my recommendation to you, because depending on your interest and all that, it varies. But Nagoya University is very difficult, extremely difficult. SATs, as Hemant-san mentioned earlier, SATs, they need to be very good for Nagoya, like extremely good. Their acceptance rate is very, very low, one of the lowest in Japan. And as a Japanese national, it gets even more difficult. I was a PR holder. It was difficult. It was difficult for everyone. So I would say apply, but if you ask me University of Tsukuba or Nagoya, I would say prioritize University of Tsukuba over Nagoya, because Nagoya's acceptance rate is very low. Like it's really low. And yeah, so I hope that answered the question.
Thanks, Hemant. Thanks, Khushi. There are some questions which we have received earlier that the parents or the participants, they were unable to participate today, but we have their questions, and some of the questions are very pointed. For example, maybe Khushi, if you can answer this, that one of the parent may be looking for psychology course for UG undergraduate in Japan. So they wanted to understand like what kind of fee structure and what kind of admission criteria and so on. So that's one. And then another is in the same line for biomedical.
Sorry. For psychology, there are courses in Japan. There are 3-4 universities you could apply for. One I can tell one of the university names. ICU, International Christian University. Most of the people from the imperial family of Japan study at this university, ICU. It's a very renowned university. So that university offers psychology. Apart from that, there are other universities as well. But regarding their tuition fee, they all are private universities. So the tuition fee is comparatively more for these courses. So private universities range. It starts from 1 million to it can go up to 2 million yen per year. It ranges. So yeah, you'll have to keep that in mind and then apply. But yeah, there are universities for psychology if they're interested, 100%. You can mention that ICU is one of the universities. And for more universities, they can always contact me. But yeah. And for biomedical, so in Japan, medical, okay, is not really there. Yes, there's biology programs, there's bioresource engineering at University of Tsukuba, there's bioengineering, bioenvironmental sciences, and so forth. Medical, if you want to do, it can be difficult. Okay, so I wouldn't recommend to pursue medical in Japan. Bio, yes, there are several programs. There are many universities that are opening up new departments for bio. So there's Kyushu University that has bio, there's Tsukuba and so forth. So bio is there. Biomedical specifically is difficult.
Thanks. And there is one more course that is highlighted by one of the parent is about non-engineering computer science courses like BSc and BCA is done in India. So are there any specific available here in Japan?
Yeah, I've heard these concepts have been becoming very popular in India, but in Japan, computer science comes under the field of engineering. But for example, my program, Environment Information Studies, you can do quantum computing in my program as well, not a problem. But you won't get bachelors of engineering particularly. So that is in Japan, mostly if you do computer, you'll get a bachelor's in engineering or bachelor of science, but most of the times engineering. Yeah.
Thank you. So we have been discussing a lot about universities, admission process, SAT, IELTS, and so on. Now there is one very important question from someone, Saurabh Rawat, I think, is about what is the level job opportunities students get if they pass from Japanese university or Japan university, and do these universities have good placement and related support?
Okay. So regarding the placement, so the concept, I think Hemant San had mentioned this earlier. The concept of placement, okay, in Japan is not as much as it is in India. In India, companies come and there's a whole placement going on, and then that's how employment is usually done in India. However, in Japan, that's not the case. But Japanese universities, they welcome guest lectures. So companies come in the form of, for example, if you're taking a course, in one of the lectures, a professor from, example, Rakuten, not professor, a person working from Rakuten, the HR, would come to represent Rakuten, and they'll talk about their internship or the position they have, and then you can apply. So that's how it works. It works in the form of guest lectures, not campus placement. There are no interviews being conducted on campus. It's in the form of guest lectures. So that's really important. So I would say in university, try and attend as many guest lectures as possible. Take up courses and attend these company info sessions. That would really help. In terms of employment, right now the market is bad across the world. This is a fact. And getting employed in Japan, of course, language proficiency holds a lot of importance. I think Hemant-san and Prabjot-san know better, but language proficiency is important. But a couple of engineering positions do not require language proficiency. It really depends on the field that you're coming from. There are many international students who have gotten into companies without any Japanese. They're working for many companies here without any Japanese proficiency. But there are times when students, even with Japanese proficiency, are not getting a job because right now the market is very bad. So it really varies. But I would say if you're considering Japan, please study Japanese during your university. Please polish your Japanese in the 4 years. That will really widen your career prospects. It really will. So please learn Japanese if you can. And also one more thing, you get a Shukatsu visa. If you come here as a student visa, as Prabjot San said, Prabjot San or Hemant San, I forgot. They mentioned about you get a 1 year of 1 year after graduation. You have 1 year to stay. You can stay in Japan for 1 more year on a student visa. That visa is called Shukatsu visa. It's called job hunting visa. So you can apply for that visa if you want to stay in Japan for job hunting after graduation. So yes, I hope that helped.
Ashish, give me a second. Ashish, for the questions you asked for the not attending, but they have query, you have asked a couple of questions. There are around 10 questions in that. Can we do it in the respect to the time also? Can we do it like yes, no, and maybe format so that we can go faster in that list and then come again and on that one?
In fact, Prem, I was also reading some more questions. Those questions are very pointed. For example, veterinary course, or for example, so means I think if we can answer that specifically later, also it's fine, because it's not like generalized. It's very specific and pointed.
We won't be able to answer all, but on this stage, at least we can get yes, no, and maybe we'll keep on that level, and then the parents can approach the respective person.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because a lot of questions are coming in that are of a specific domain or a specific subject. For example, I already asked about biomedical, but then there is a question on biochemistry, pharmacology, biotechnology, and veterinary. So I don't know.
It's fine. I mean, if we don't have the answer, no, we don't have the answer. But yes, no, and maybe we'll keep on that level. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So Khushi, maybe or anyone, parents, if you can answer whether such courses are also possible or available in Japan universities. And then there are questions around like what are the fees and all. I think that will be very specific to the university and course.
We can leave it for
that. Maybe whoever has asked has to check if those courses are available in particular university. But maybe to answer yes and no, whether such courses are available or not. Or I can change this question in a way, other than engineering, business, and usual courses, what all other different courses possible?
Yeah, Ashish, to answer that, like the JASO link which we have, right? So I think that provides extensive information on what kind of courses are available in Japan. So maybe for the pinpoint subjects, they can always refer the JASO Excel.
I think that's a good idea, Hemant, because these questions are like even asking for food and beverages industry and so on. So those are very specific. So it's good if there is some kind of a ready reference already available in the formal structure.
Yeah, I can just
add something.
Yeah, I could just quickly go through them. I'll not take much time. So looking for biochemistry, yes, there is. For biotechnology, yes, please look into Shibaura Institute of Technology. Looking for your English and business program for masters, yes, there are engineering and business programs and masters in several universities in Japan. However, for business, for MBA, usually they need a 3-year work requirement. In case you don't have a 3-year work experience, you will have, for some universities like Doshisha University, you will have to provide a certificate, a document stating that why do you think we should accept you, even though you don't have a 3-year work experience, why do you think we should accept you? So you'll have to provide that document in a few universities for MBA. So yeah, there's MBA and the engineering programs for masters. Fees, this is just generic, as we all mentioned, public and national universities, it's 535,000 yen, which is equivalent to 3 lakh rupees per year. Okay. In case of Japanese taught, please do not apply for Japanese taught programs because they have an entrance examination for that, and N1 is also not enough. So please do not opt for Japanese degree programs. What are the opportunities? Food and beverage industry. There are a few courses on food. It's opening up. I would say please look into KUAS's new program. They have food as one of specializations, gastronomy. So please look into that. Veterinary science is usually for masters. For bachelors, people usually take generic bachelor's programs, not specifically veterinary science. So I would recommend you to do veterinary science for masters. However, for bachelor's programs, you can take something more generic. Yes, for I think the tokens of technologies question is answered, and astrophysics. There isn't something as bachelor's in astrophysics that you can probably narrow down in masters. However, for bachelor's, you can maybe do something in physics. You can do bachelor's in physics, maybe in Nagoya University. Nagoya University offers bachelor's in physics, or you can take an engineering course. That is there, but specifically astrophysics is not there. It can be one of the courses, but you won't get a bachelor's in astrophysics. So yes, I hope I answered all the questions that are in the code.
Thanks. That was like a rapid fire, and you answered very well. So just one question, and then we will go to the people who have raised hands. I think this question is important. That parent is asking whether a student who did 12th from India and a student who did 12th from Japan have to follow the same process of admission, or it is different? Or is it different? So anyone, parent and maybe Khushi, you can answer.
As far as my info and the process what we went through, it is all open for everyone. It doesn't matter whether you are in India or whether you are in Japan.
Okay. I think I had same understanding. Thank you. Now, like we will go to people who have raised hands, but let's keep it to one question specifically, because we need to have other parents or other participants also asking the question. So, Sivachandran Pandliraj, can you please ask your question, Sivachandran?
Yeah. Yes, Ashish. Yeah. So this question is actually my daughter Satyashree is studying now in 11th standard. Okay, and we are planning to apply for Japanese universities. Okay, so, and would like to know the status, whether we will be able to get it or not. The thing is, yeah, my daughter may be interested to get the information about architecture, the course which is relevant to Bachelor of Architecture, which is the course previously asked by Velu-san. Okay, so yeah, I would like to know whether we have that course in Japan or not. Okay, so if it is not there, then I think I would like to skip this part. Yeah.
I think this was answered. I think there is I think Khushi has answered that, right, Khushi?
Is it relevant to? I'm asking about Bachelor of Architecture, not the Arts Architecture.
Khushi, your mic is mute. Yeah, mic on mute, Khushi. We can't hear you.
Yeah, as Ashish said, I think Khushi did answer this question earlier, but let's have a kind of a quick summary. In the meantime, Ashish, can we do like, due to time limit, we go through all the questions and then see what can be answered in remaining time?
Questions in the chat, you mean?
No, all who have raised their hands, let them give a few seconds to ask the question, and then we can give Khushi, Hemant, or Prabjot to answer them.
Okay. Okay, fine. Maybe we need to keep note of that. Otherwise, it's better to go
round.
by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a quick round. Yeah.
Okay, so I think there is one question from Sivachandran asking about architectural course in UG. That's one question. Maybe I think Akbar Sheikh, maybe if you have any question, maybe you can also toss your question quickly.
Hello, my daughter is in Japanese school, Chogaku Junior High School, 3rd grade, and now we are looking for a high school which can provide English support nearby. So can somebody guide this?
I think that's very maybe a little different question from school point of view, I guess, Prem, because we are mostly talking about universities and college admissions.
Sorry, I mean, this is not in the scope of the discussion right now, but you can approach us separately. We'll try to support you on that one. This is focusing on universities today, as of now. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
But quickly, sorry, but quickly to answer this thing, you
Yes,
can
ma'am.
approach
Thank you.
any Indian school, and I think they are very keen to give the admissions. The admissions are very open in Indian schools, so any Indian school you can approach.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Thanks. And there is a question from Sanjay Chauhan. If you can if you can ask the question, Sanjay.
Yeah. Ashish, my question is like for essays, what is the expected month when essays for the next year 2025 are published? By June, July itself, or they're published later? The topic of the essay or the theme of the essay.
Okay, and then one more hand we just see now, Prahlad Shivane. If you can ask your question.
Yes, so actually, I'm speaking. I'm in 10th grade right now, currently. I'm actually. Can you elaborate on any exquisite astrophysics courses available in Japan?
Sure, Prahlad. So I think we have these many hands raised, right, Prem? Any other hand if I'm missing? I
Yeah.
can't see.
If you have asked the question, can you please?
Yeah.
Rajesh Pandey is remaining, I guess.
He has asked question, right?
Okay, sorry. Okay. If you have already asked your question, please you can remove that mark.
So
Okay. Looks like,
yeah, Hemant, Prabjot,
One addition which I would like to mention to all the parents. I think recently SAT has changed to online only. So earlier it used to be physical, but now SAT exams are all only online. So this is just for information for those who do not know.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's called DSAT, Digital SAT, and earlier it was 3 hours. Now it is changed to 2 hours.
Right. So Ashish, as we said, I made a quick note on the question. So there are 3 questions. One is regarding architecture. Second is about the essay and the timing of it. Should they get started? And third is astrophysics. Maybe we can take it one by one. So astrophysics course, Khushi, you would like to answer that?
Can you hear me?
Or
Yes,
do we
yes.
have? Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah, Ashish, you can take over.
So,
I think Khushi-san, I'm not very sure, but maybe Hokkaido University probably offers science courses. Not very sure, but we need to check on that.
Yeah. And I don't see Khushi, can you hear us? Because there was this essay specific question.
just a minute. Actually, my internet is a little poor, I believe. Just please give me a minute.
Sure.
Then
what was the first one?
yes, so 3: architecture, essay, and astrophysics.
Yeah. See, in the meantime, no, I think we can start with the essay. Essay is basically you'll have to do a selling exercise for yourself, right? Why you are good for this university, why this course is good for you. So that there's no specific timing. So it'll come with your standard application process. So you can start working on your essay when you actually enter 12th class or even earlier, right? So you'll have to basically look at university courses, why Japan, why university, why you, what is your future aspiration? All those things, you'll have to mention in essay.
So there is no theme published. It's a generic essay. We can write anything.
One is generic, and then some universities will have certain pointers. Like in case of Nagoya, they will give you 3 topics, and that topics you need to consider. Also, they will give you a word length. In fact, from this year, I heard earlier there was online essay writing where the university people were watching like what you are writing, but that has been discontinued is what I heard. But still you need to check if there is a specific topic which you have to consider or go for generic, but it depends on each university or each college you are considering.
Just to add to what Prabjot and Ashish mentioned regarding the essays, so the topics of the essays are mentioned in the application guidelines, which will be released in June, July. However, usually the topics do not change year after year. They remain the same. So you can always refer to the past essay topics and start writing your essays. That's my recommendation to you. And regarding essays, right, as to what you have to include, there are many types of essays you have to write. You will not have to write only one essays. There are 3-4 essays you have to write. So one is SOP, as Ashish San earlier mentioned, the statement of purpose, where you basically have to write why do you want to go into the university, and what is it that you're interested in, and so forth. Later on, there are more specific questions. For example, if you're going for a business program, who is your business role model? This is one of the questions that is in NUCB's application. Who's your role model? Why do you aspire to be like this person? They want to know more about your character through the essays. Okay. So sometimes SOP is not even there. Some universities do not have an SOP. Some universities do. For example, NUCB does not have statement of purpose, but they do have a question saying, why do you want to apply to a university? So it depends. They just change the wordings depending on the university and the context. But some things that you have to definitely talk about is why you want to go to the university, what is so great about the university, why are you interested in this program, how does this university stand out when compared to other universities. You have to mention the USPs of the university and the program. That's my recommendation. And you'll have to write many essays. And the themes of the essays, please check the guidelines of the previous years. You'll get the topic.
Yeah, so thanks. That answer. So in summary, basically guidelines, so it is part of the application process when it is published,
Yeah.
and remains similar, so we can look at historical for the themes of the essay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And one more was for astrophysics.
Astrophysics.
Astrophysics?
And architecture too.
Architecture. So as I said, regarding architecture, there are many programs on urban sciences. Bachelors in architecture, you will most likely not get here. There are it's a part, it's a sub of, it's like a specialization in the big, for example, if you do liberal arts, maybe you'll get like a specialization in architecture. If that's okay with you, then it's not a problem. There's also urban sciences, which I think is a great field. It's an upcoming field. So I would highly recommend you to take that into consideration. But pure architecture is difficult. Yeah. And astrophysics, again, I would say that's a little very specific. Bachelor's in astrophysics is a little difficult to get. Maybe a few universities like Hokkaido and so forth may have. Nagoya has physics, so you can look into those. But specifically astrophysics is quite difficult. So I would say you can do that for masters. Maybe for bachelor's, you can do something in engineering also. You can still do astrophysics for masters, not a problem. So you can do engineering or physics or so forth in bachelor's, and then go ahead and do masters in astrophysics. Yeah.
Thank you, Ashish. You can then maybe summarize.
Yes, there is another question, like how do you do extracurricular activities help you? Like the activities specifically mentioned are Bharatnatyam, karate, painting, certificates, and so on.
Yes, they would 100%. See, as I said earlier, they are not only looking as to how are you in academics. That's not the only important criterion. They're looking into what are you good at. Okay, fine, academics is there, but what something else they want to see? They want to see how you are as an individual. So I would say, yes, please, if you have these extracurricular activities, please submit it. I myself, I had submitted my swimming. I was participated in a national swimming competition. So I submitted those certificates. I had done piano. I submitted those certificates. It's really important. I submitted around 20 certificates. So it's really important to submit your certificates to get into a university of your interest. So please, whatever certificates you have, please submit. But of course, please do not submit certificates that you've got in grade 1 or in middle school and all of that. Do not submit those. Those will not be valid. after grade 6 would be fine, but not from grade 1 to grade 6. Please do not submit those certificates. Yeah.
Thanks, Khushi. Okay, I don't see any other question. Okay, there is one question to Khushi from Sachin Wankede. I heard that Tokyo University will offer some courses in English in next 2 years.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I've answered that question. So yes, they are in a couple of years, the design program, but not right now. Maybe next. It will be partially English, 50% English, 50% Japanese. It's not fully made public, but there will be a program in a few years related to design. Yeah.
Just to understand this question more, Tokyo University is already offering courses in English. So which specific course are you looking after?
Sachin, are you there?
No, in general, I was just asking in general that there. I think currently in the list of universities, I didn't see Tokyo University, so I was under there are not English courses offered there. But I heard from friends that there will be, so that's the reason why I was asking.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, right, if you are looking after a specific course, then it's okay, because one of my friend's daughter, she graduated from Tokyo University in English program, and she graduated 2 years back.
I see. Okay.
So English courses are there. If there is any specific course, then you'll have to take a look at their website.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll probably need to do some more research on that.
Regarding University of Tokyo, there's a program called PEAK. That is a English program of 4 years. There's also a GSE program, but GSE is a transfer program, so you cannot apply there. But there is a PEAK program, which is 4 years bachelor's in English, 100%. And for that program, the first 2 years you have to take liberal arts courses. From the second year, you have to choose between 2 fields, environmental sciences and Japan and East Asia studies. I know the 2 very different topics, but that's how the program is designed. So you have to choose between environmental sciences and Japan and East Asia studies, and that becomes a specialization. So that's the PEAK program, and I would recommend you to look into that program.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
There is one last question, maybe because a lot of questions.
Yeah, I can see those questions. So let's have those.
Yeah. So the question is there any preference to students from particularly high school boards like CBSE or IGCSE or university for university admission? Like, is there any difference considered between CBSE and IGCSE, or maybe IB for that matter?
Not at all. It really doesn't matter. You can study in a perhaps a government school in India, or you study in an IB curriculum in Japan. Regardless, everyone is treated equally for the admissions office. There's no sort of biasness or partiality. Yes, maybe you don't have to you don't have to take the SATs if you are from the IB curriculum. That is an advantage. But in terms of acceptance, equally valued, because many of my clients or students, they've come from government schools in India, not the fanciest curriculums. They have taken the CBSE board in the smallest of schools in India, and they've come here successfully in one of the best universities. So board really does not matter. Yes, there might be a little bit of advantage that you don't have to take SATs, perhaps, if you're from an IB curriculum, or you don't have to take the English proficiency test. But in terms of acceptance, it's not like, okay, you're from IB, so you will be preferred, or you're from CBSE, you will not be preferred. Nothing like that. There's no partiality of any sort. Yeah.
Thanks, Khushi. And there is one question is about the PR. So the question is that other than the good market criteria, like for international students, they have good chance of getting in seats compared to PR students. So is it good to avoid getting into PR or avoiding the PR?
So what I would say, see, I applied to KO University with a PR. I wouldn't say you should leave your PR. But again, this is very subjective. Many people out here might not agree with me, which is completely okay. It's very subjective. If you ask me, I would not leave my PR for admissions. I got into KO University with a PR. And I got a scholarship also with the PR. So yes, maybe a little bit of advantage if you have an international student, but it's not significant. So I don't think you should leave your PR just for Japanese university admissions, because so many people out here with as a Japanese national, like Hemant-san mentioned, this person had the Japanese nationality and he got into Nagoya University. So it's possible. So if you want to go ahead, get the PR, not a problem. But I wouldn't recommend you to stop your PR process for admissions, because right now you can at least get PR through your parents, right? After that, you can't even do that. You have to independently apply, and that is not easy. You have to meet a lot of criteria. You have to get like a certain number of points to apply for the PR. That's not an easy process. At least right now you can get it under your parents. It's not very difficult. But later on, you will have to apply independently after the age of 20, which is not recommended. And also for job security, it's not recommended. Because if you're on a student visa, if you're on a dependent visa, you'll be converted to student visa. After student visa, on what basis can you stay in Japan? Not on dependent, because you're not 18. You're above 20 now. You're an adult. So you cannot stay in Japan unless you don't have a job, and you can't get a dependent visa. So it gets very complicated. So if you can apply for the PR, please don't think about Japanese admissions at the moment. And there's no problem. If I can get in, I think you also can get in. So yeah, that's my.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Khushi has mentioned. Like even for my daughter, we have PR and we haven't changed to student visa.
Yeah.
And getting like I would say, as compared to other universities, US, UK universities, the fees in Japanese universities is, I would say, less than half. So definitely it's individual choice, but the fees are not that high, and especially if you get admission in national universities, the fees are less than what you pay for your kids' school right now.
Thanks, Hemant. I would like to ask one important question for dependent visa or student visa. I think no one has asked that, so I would like to raise that specifically to you, Khushi. Like other countries provide PSW, it could be 2 to 5 years, but some countries provide some. It depends completely what length of PSW is available. What about Japan?
PhD program?
PSW, post-study work permit.
Post-study work visa. Okay. Yeah. So regarding that, in Australia, for example, in Australia, you get around 2 years if you apply for the visa. For US, next to impossible. There's a whole OPT thing.
Singapore and US, they don't allow.
Yeah, very difficult. In Japan, you get 1 year. 1 year shikatsu visa. So that's there. In other countries, it's very difficult. That's why many of the people who go abroad for education, they come back to Japan because they don't get the visa. For example, in the US, if you do STEM, if you go into STEM fields, then you get an OPT, which is a visa you get for 3 years.
Yeah, I know.
During those 3 years, you have to keep applying for the work visa. Most of the people do not get. It's on lottery system.
Yes.
So if you get the lottery, you get the work visa. Otherwise, you don't get the work visa. So even if you get a job in US, you don't have the working visa. You're on OPT. So it's not the best process. It's very difficult. However, in Japan, you at least get 1 year work visa.
Okay.
In Australia also you do. So that's the advantage of Japan over these countries. Yeah.
Thanks. And just related to that again, for those parents, dependent visa and for the student visa, like France, they provide inbuilt or internship programs. Yes, there is no culture of part-time job or PSW, but there are universities that bring the inbuilt internship programs within the course itself. How about Japan? Like part-time work, how much possible, or are there internships available for students applying?
Yeah. So regarding part-time work, you can work in Japan for 28 hours per week. That's the criterion. You can only work for 28 hours per week. Regarding internships, some, for example, Waseda University, the SILS program, it has an exchange program that usually students need to be a part of, through which they go to another university for a study abroad thing, or they can do an internship or so forth. For example, one of the universities called AK University. For that university, internship is mandatory, whether it's overseas or whether it's domestic. You have to do an internship, and you have to do a volunteering activity. It's part of the curriculum and it's mandatory. Otherwise, you will not graduate. So such exposure is given in a few universities, not all. So there are internship programs, and the university helps you getting these internships. So yes, you can do internships in Japan. In Japan, there are many types of internships. Now, if I get into it, it will take a lot of time. But the short-term internships, which can be for 1 or 2 days, as well. I myself did an internship for Hitachi for 2 days. So those internships are also there. And also, those are called short-term internships. Long-term internships can be between 3 months to 6 months, and they're usually paid, but they're also unpaid ones. So that's also possible. And also you can get credits for the internship. So for example, if you tell your university that, I'm interning at this place, you might be able to get credits. Credits is something that you need for graduation. You need 124 credits to graduate. So you can get a few points. You can get a few points if you do an internship. Like not a lot, maybe 1 or 2 points only, but such facilities, such incentives are provided by the university. Yeah.
Thanks, Khushi, and thanks for answering. I think we are much ahead in the time now, so we should maybe Prem has already raised his hand. Maybe I don't know, Prem, if you want to ask question or summarize by raising.
Ask question. Yeah, so maybe that might be kind of a segue to kind of summarize the whole thing also. So my question to Khushi is like, now you have been consulting students for this, and we briefly talked about this, but I want to bring it again on this platform also. Like before COVID and after COVID, there has been some change in the pattern how students are selecting, also parents are selecting the university. So I just wanted to zoom out a bit and wanted you to analyze, like if there are 10 students, what was happening with them before COVID and now what's happening in terms of trends. So that would help us out.
Sure. Before COVID, so I was a before COVID batch. I graduated in 2019. So before COVID, many of the students went abroad for education. I was one of the very few people in my class who stayed in Japan. And because Japanese universities didn't promote themselves too much, there isn't much awareness. So many parents today, I think there were 100 people participating today because there's so many questions around Japan. There was no guidance as such. So many people went abroad. And who's going to take the pains to understand Japanese programs? It's very complicated and difficult. So before COVID, everyone went. Most of the people went abroad. However, post-COVID, many of the people are staying in Japan, and it's getting a little more difficult year after year, because everyone's preferring to stay in Japan. All the parents are like, they want their children close to them. I'm not sure if it's a generational thing or it's the COVID that has affected this, but all the parents want their kids to stay close to them. So that's why after COVID, most of the people I know are only applying to Japanese universities. So competition is there, so you need to stand out. And now you also, I think the parents and students are really lucky because they have resources like us that they can go to, whether it's for counseling, whether they need help for the entire admission process, or whether they just want to attend an info session like yours. So much resources are provided. So the whole narrative has changed from no Japan to only Japan. That has been the It has been a significant change, and that's why it's very important now for students to make a good application. It's not easy to get into Japanese universities. Many people feel that, oh, it's Japan, they want people. No, they don't. In fact, countries in the West want, the universities in the West want more people. It's not as difficult to get into universities abroad than it is to get in Japan. Yes, it's easier to apply to universities abroad. For example, in the US, there's one portal and you apply to 10 universities. Same application goes in 10 universities. That's not the case in Japan. It's a daunting process. It's a tedious process. However, it's worth it. It's quality and affordability, both. That's not the case elsewhere. So if you're looking for abroad, great. It's not difficult to get in. It really isn't. It's not that difficult to get in. And if you're not applying for scholarship, then not at all difficult to get in. In Japan, it is a little difficult to get in. That's why it's so complicated and so many processes and all of that. But again, Japanese universities are offering quality and affordability. That is not being offered by other universities abroad. So it really depends on if you have like a lot of financial flexibility, then of course, please go ahead and apply abroad. But if you want your children to be here close to you, or if you want them to get good quality and affordable education, they can be here as well. And also, sorry for going on and on about this. I'll try to keep it short. But also, I would say that in terms of the fields that people are applying for nowadays, I would say, yes, engineering is there. In engineering, particularly computer science and mechanical engineering are two major fields that people are going for in science. And for humanities, liberal arts. Not many people know what liberal arts is. Even I didn't. There's a huge misconception behind it. That's humanities. It's not humanities. It is a mix of everything. So in liberal arts, you get to major in computer science as well. For example, Waseda SILS, it has economics, it has finance, it has computer science, it has engineering, it has political science. It has everything.
Got it.
Please don't think that, oh, humanities mein chala jayega. It's not like that. It is everything. And then you get to choose your major. Because there are people who have enrolled in SILS and now they're working for companies like Accenture as a data analyst. So that is possible. I hope I answered. Yeah.
No, you answered the question. Just summarize 1 to 10 out of 10 students. What's happening now? Is it like 2 or 3 are opting for Japanese universities as compared to 1 in the past? If you can summarize that, that we can.
Yeah. I would say when more out of 10 earlier post-COVID, 2 people would apply to Japanese universities. 2 to 3.
Pre-COVID. Okay.
Yeah. In my class of 40 people, I think only 5 or 6 people stayed in Japan. That also barely. So it is very less. However, post-COVID, it has changed. So around 6 people stay in Japan. 5 to 6 people stay in Japan. So it's 50-50. 50 go abroad, 50 stay here, which is a huge change in the past 2-3 years.
That's a big percentage. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Khushi, Hemant, Prabjot, for actually answering almost all the questions which were raised in the chat. And of course, we know there are a few which we cannot kind of comment on or touch upon. I think we'll go and ask everyone what do we want a next session, or do we want for other areas that we will see. I'll give this baton touch to Sandeep here so that he can make a closing remark and we can call it a day. I think we were together for 3 hours. Everyone could have gone and watched the movie, but everyone has stayed for 3 hours, more than 134 people. And it shows this is a serious topic and there is such a lack of information on this. So I'll just go back to Sandeep that he can conclude.
Yeah. Once again, thank you, Hemant san, Prabjot san, Khushi san, and again Prem san, Ashish san. It was really, it's a 3 hours marathon was there,
and still I think we have not concluded, or many things are there we have not concluded. So okay, for upcoming, just now I saw a question, and again there will be many sessions we need to have, specifically for study in India. And now I think mostly we are covering Japan, then we will cover India, and other than India and Japan. So that one also many people would like to have we would like to explore on that also. So definitely that things. And apart from that, yesterday only we had we were in one embassy gathering, and there also we discussed few things, and a lot of things are going happening at embassy level also, or Japan Ministry of Education also. So definitely a lot of things will come or initiate from the embassy also. And for upcoming sessions, we would like to, or we will try to involve like students, like now Hemant San is there, right? So we would like to involve, or we will try to involve kids, those who have gone through those process, or those are already in the universities. So definitely that try will be there. So and from parent sides, we can request their kids also to involve in this kind of sessions. So that will be also good exposure for the kids also. So again, yes, thank you. And group is there, and I saw, I think around 120 plus was the maximum attendees today. So definitely we can say that 120 or around 200 people are there. Okay, group is more than 900, but around 200 people are there who are in immediate need of this kind of information. So yes, definitely we will keep on discussing on this. And yesterday I heard that Tokyo University is going to visit Indian schools specifically for the same kind of sessions and the information. So not a rigid information, but again, yes, the parents will get from the school itself. So once again, thank you, and keep sharing the information. Again, we will focus on a genuine information. So yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for participating, being patient with us, also being with us even when we extended the time. So thank you very much. Till we see you next time. Thanks again, Prabjot ji, Hemant, Khushi, for making this a very valuable session for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.